Welcome to Life as I Know It, the Noemi Chronicles. Like and subscribe. Hey, welcome back to my channel, the Noemi Chronicles. So today I wanted to talk to you more about my kidney disease. I was actually born with this. It's called polycystic kidney disease, or for short it's called PKD, but I actually didn't learn about it until 10 years ago. I'm already coming up to my 10-year anniversary that I found out that I do have ill kidneys. So first of all, it went diagnosed because many doctors asked me and nurses, how come you didn't know about it before? Well, I grew up with parents that work. Well, there was a time my mom didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom, but then she worked. So growing up, me and my siblings, our parents worked enough to give us a good life, I guess, but they couldn't afford things like insurance. So we were too poor to afford insurance, but then we were too rich to qualify for Medicaid. So that's what happened, that I was I never really went to the doctor unless I was sick, which was really never. I really wasn't a sickly child. So I went like 31 years without ever knowing that I had any kidney issues. So how did I find out? This disease is a progressive. Honestly, it shouldn't get to the point that it is now, unless until the age of 60. I'm 41 and I've had it for 10 years. So what happened with me? Well, you need to consider that I did not do a lot of healthy lifestyle choices. I'm not an overeater, but because I've been overweight all my life, I did take a lot of diet pills, and I took, teas. I would drink a lot of soda, and I did so many things that now I know were not good for me, and that probably speeded up, the decaying process of my kidneys. And that's actually how and why this story starts, that I was taking some diet pills because of my ex-husband. It always has to do something with a man, right? So I was trying to get thinner. We were having some issues, and he was doing things that he wasn't supposed to do. Anyways, I was trying to win back his affections, and I was trying to lose weight, and I was taking some pills. Now I was told, Noemi, you need to take them with so much water, but I didn't like water, so I just kind of ignored that. I didn't care too much about the water. I just wanted to lose weight. And I was also ignorant to the fact that that was dangerous. So just one day, it was like July 31st, and I'm from South Texas, okay? And it is so hot, especially in July and August. I mean, these are like the hottest months. And I was in my room, which, by the way, my house I live in the same house, but now it's a little different. But at the time, it didn't have air conditioner or central air. And I was so cold, so I turned off my window unit, and I was still cold. I was freezing. And it made no sense because the house was so hot. So I was freezing. My sister was staying with me at the time, and I asked her, please bring me blankets. I just, I'm so cold. So then I decided, you know what, maybe a hot shower. So I went to go shower, and that was like the worst idea because I was even more cold. It was steaming hot water, but I felt it like if it was icy cold water. It was horrible. I get to the hospital. They put me on a drip and I start feeling better right away. So I was like ready to go home, and the doctor said, no, hold on. You won't go home today. We're just going to keep you overnight. Just make sure everything's okay. So I was feeling great. I was on the IV, and I was getting fluids, and I was feeling wonderful. So the next day, I'm like ready to go. And they're like, no, we're just going to keep you a little longer, just to make sure you're okay. They weren't telling me anything yet. Nobody was saying anything. So I was like, okay, that's weird. I feel excellent. Like, why aren't you letting me go? I feel excellent. So, I think on the third day it was, a doctor that I had never met comes in, and so he introduces himself. I cannot pronounce his name. He's my Facebook friend. He never posts or anything, but his name's so long. Anyway, so he comes in, he grabs my hand, and he looks me in the eye, and he says, you have kidney failure. And I was shocked. Like, I had never in my life known that anybody in my family had kidney failure. I just didn't understand it. That was like one of the worst things that I had ever heard in my life. And I just couldn't get it. So anyway, at that point, they wanted me to start dialysis because I was already I don't remember if I was a stage 3 or a stage 4, but I opted not to. And throughout the years, I honestly opted not to get dialysis for over 8 years. I think I didn't. And I'm not saying, and I'm not giving advice before nurses start telling me what you did wrong. This was just me. I chose not to get it for 8 years, and I lived a very normal life. And I graduated college, and I traveled several times. I did so many things, so I do not regret it at all. Choosing, to live my life free, because if I'm honest with you, getting dialysis, you're not free. And if you're about to start dialysis, I don't mean to scare you, but I just like to be honest. I don't like to sugarcoat things. So finally, I got sick, but it was nothing to do necessarily with the kidneys. The kidneys were bad already. They were going to check them, and they were going to know that they were bad. But I actually had a gallbladder problem, but I didn't know this, and they didn't tell me. So finally, the doctor says, well, because I was throwing up bile. And the doctor says, well, and I couldn't keep anything in. Like, whatever I would eat, I would just toss it out immediately, even if it's water. So the doctor says, you need to start dialysis. And I asked him, if I start dialysis, will this end? Will this stop? And he's like, yes. So I agreed, and I went to go get dialysis, and then I got out, and no, that didn't fix it. So then I asked the doctor, so what's going on? You told me this. And he's like, oh, no, it was your gallbladder. I'm like, oh, great. I just started dialysis for nothing. Or else, honestly, maybe this was God. Maybe they had to trick me, because maybe this was honestly God intervening, because I had no plans to start dialysis, honestly. I had no plans. But, it happened that way. And, at first it was hard. Dialysis was hard. First of all, because before I went into the hospital. Now, just so you know the backstory, I was in there 3 weeks in the hospital. But before entering the hospital for a week and a half or 2 weeks, I was throwing up every day. I could not stomach anything. So honestly, when I went to the hospital, I was probably lighter. And during those 3 weeks in the hospital, all I was eating was clear soups. Excuse me. And I don't remember if they were giving me tea or they were giving me water. But it was just clear soups and Jell-O. And, so in that period of time, I lost 60, 70 pounds in 3 weeks. So when I started dialysis, when I got out of the hospital and started dialysis, I had to start normal food, because by the time I got there, I was feeling better and I could eat a little bit. So all this weight that I had lost in those 3 weeks of starving, basically, I started to gain this weight gradually back. I started to gain it back because I started eating. It wasn't that I did anything different or wrong. It was just I started eating normally. And so I started gaining weight back. So in dialysis, the way that they monitor how much water they will remove from you during your treatment is depending on how heavy you are. So imagine that they got my weight as I left the hospital at one weight, and then I started eating. So every time I would go, I would go at least like 3, 4, 5 pounds heavier, and they thought that was water. And the weird thing is that I still urinate. I know you guys don't want to hear that. And I don't ever get swollen. Like, I'm not retaining any water on my legs or anything. So they were like sucking out the life of me, honestly. And I would go home and it was horrible. I have this picture, and I don't have it with me, where I look like I am dying. Like, seriously, like it was so bad at the beginning. And it was like that for a long time. And I just thought that that was normal. I never had dialysis before. I've never known anybody who had dialysis, and I thought, this is how you're supposed to feel. You're supposed to feel horrible. Until I spoke to somebody, she works at a center, and she says, no, that's not how you need to feel. Maybe they're taking out too much water. So that's when I started to be conscious of that. And so yeah, it was hard at the beginning. And then plus also this catheter that I have, I was only supposed to have it for 3 months, and I've had it for almost 2 years. And the reason is because they attempted several surgeries on my arms, and then this one was a huge one that left the most horrible, ugly scar in the world, and none of the surgeries that they tried on me worked. So I'm still using this one. It's a little bit more dangerous, but I've learned to take care of it a little bit. But yeah, for me, dialysis necessarily has not been too easy, only because of circumstances. I happen to have, thin veins that made things a little bit more complicated for me when it comes to, getting my procedures done. But in all, I see that God is with me. And yes, I've gone through these things, but I see how God hasn't left me. And people now, people that don't know me, or people who see me that knew me before, and they say, you know what, you don't look like you're on dialysis. And people have told my mom, when my mom used to drive me, she looks so strong. She walks so firmly. So I see these things. I see how God is helping me. And yes, I'm going through the fire. I'm definitely going through the fire, but I know that my God is with me, and that He hasn't left me, and He hasn't forsaken me. And maybe you're going through something similar, or maybe it's different, but you just feel that way. You feel, I'm going through the fire. I just want to tell you to be strong and to have faith. God is with you. He hasn't left you, and He will not leave you regardless of what you're going through or what you've had to have gone through. So anyway, this is part of my dialysis story. Later on, I'm probably going to think, I didn't tell him this, but it's the gist of it. So if you're also on dialysis, let me know how you took it. I know for other people, they're doing great, and it was awesome. I'm doing great too. I'm not saying that I'm not, but let me know how you're doing. Do you go MWF, or do you go, what is it, TTS? I'm not sure. Let me know how you're doing, and if you have somebody that's on dialysis too, let me know that in the comments. Thank you for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribe, please subscribe to my channel. I used to have a channel about 7-8 years ago, and I don't have access to that anymore, so I'm barely building my little tribe here. So if you want to be a part of it, subscribe, and please do me a favor and like and comment. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.